Hot dogs, Cracker Jacks, cold soda. Get your snacks here. Welcome, historians and sports fans, to the Olympics. This is no ordinary sporting event, but rather a look into the past, where all of history's greatest athletes gather to compete, and you've got a ticket. Grab your snacks and put on your favorite player's jersey, because here come the athletes. Get on your feet and make some noise for a man whose speed broke records and whose courage inspired the world. Don't blink, because this guy is fast. Let's hear it for the track and field legend, Jesse Owens. Get ready to rumble for the American icon, the record-breaking home run hitter, the great Bambino, Babe Ruth. As you watch these legends come into the stadium, the atmosphere is buzzing with excitement. But there's more to the Olympics than home runs. The athletes here are pioneers of social change who didn't just break records, they broke barriers. These Olympic athletes demonstrate the powerful ways in which sports have inspired social progress in American history. Before the games begin, let's look at our guiding questions. Our essential question is, how have sports been used to influence social reforms? Our guiding questions are, in what ways were American sports segregated in the early 20th century? How did Helen Moody influence the acceptance of women in sports and society? How did Jackie Robinson help break the barriers of racial segregation in sports and society? To what extent did American sports become more equitable throughout the 20th century? Okay, historians, get ready to play ball! Before the Olympics begin, let's tune in to the pre-game talk show to hear about some of the struggles these athletes faced in their times. Sports, like many other aspects of American life, were racially segregated prior to the 1940s. The term color line referred to the segregation that prevented people of color, particularly African Americans, from participating in professional sports leagues. The National Football League, or NFL, was segregated in 1933 through secret agreements among team owners who agreed not to draft black players. In baseball, African American leagues were established because Major League Baseball, or MLB, did not allow black players. Despite the great talent in black leagues, they did not receive the same attention or financial backing as the MLB, further highlighting racial disparities. Discrimination in American sports extends to gender, too. Until the late 20th century, women's participation in competitive sports was limited, influenced by stereotypes of female frailty and beliefs that sports were a male domain. Women's sports were often modified to be less physically intense. In basketball, for example, women's teams were restricted to 6 players, and the court was divided into 3 separate zones to reduce the amount of running. Discrimination in sports has been both a reflection and a reinforcement of wider societal attitudes that systematically marginalized racial minorities and women throughout history. Despite these challenges, athletes persevered and pushed the boundaries to inspire social change. Pause the video here to answer our first guiding question. In what ways were American sports segregated in the early 20th century? Okay, sports fans, our first event is about to begin here on the Olympics tennis courts, where a legendary player is about to serve up some justice. Oh, and here she is. It's Helen Wills Moody. We're about to watch history being made here, folks. One powerful serve at a time. Helen Wills Moody's tennis career spanned the 1920s and 1930s during the first women's rights movement and was characterized by exceptional performance and barrier-breaking feats, the likes of which had rarely been seen in women's sports up to that point. Winning 31 Grand Slam titles, including 19 in women's singles, she was one of the greatest tennis players of her era, regardless of gender. Her aggressive style of play included a powerful forehand and an ability to cover the court quickly, changing the perception of what women could achieve. She demonstrated that female athletes could compete with the same intensity and skill as their male counterparts, without modifications. She even defeated nationally ranked male tennis players in multiple exhibitions. Moody also used her influence to advocate for women's rights and helped increase the visibility and popularity of women's sports. Her impact on changing societal perceptions about what women could achieve was profound. Her accomplishments in the sports world mirrored and boosted the progress women were making in the fight for their rights during the 1920s. Moody challenged traditional gender roles and broke down barriers for women, leading to greater participation not just in sports, but in society too. Pause the video here to answer our second guiding question. How did Helen Wills Moody influence the acceptance of women in sports and society? Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the Brooklyn Dodgers onto the Olympics field. Who's that headed towards first base? Oh, it's Jackie Robinson! History is being made right in front of our eyes as Robinson steps onto the diamond. As he strides to first base, the color line that has scarred this sport for decades begins to fade. Jackie Robinson's career was one of courage and resilience. He was an exceptional college athlete and later joined a professional black baseball league after serving in World War II. Meanwhile, Branch Rickey, general manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers, was searching for the right person to break the color barrier in the MLB, hoping to defy the injustice of racial segregation and use the untapped talent within the African American leagues to improve his team. Despite receiving death threats and facing a petition to keep him off the field, Robinson made his first major league debut with the Brooklyn Dodgers on April 15, 1947, officially breaking baseball's color line. During his first season, Robinson faced constant racial slurs and threats, but he remained composed, allowing his skill to do the talking. And it worked. He was named Rookie of the Year in 1947, and later won the National League MVP award. He also helped the Dodgers win the World Series in 1955. Robinson challenged the prevailing norms of racial segregation and provided a powerful counter-narrative to the stereotypes of the era, paving the way for future African American athletes. He used his platform to speak out against racial discrimination and later worked as a civil rights activist. His success demonstrated that integration could be beneficial to society, setting the stage for later civil rights legislation, which we'll explore in a later lesson. Jackie Robinson's legacy continues to be felt today as a testament to the powerful role that athletes can play in social and political change. Every April 15th, MLB celebrates Jackie Robinson Day, and his number 42 has been retired in Major League Baseball. Pause the video here to answer our third guiding question. How did Jackie Robinson help break the barrier of racial segregation in sports and society? Throughout the 20th century, more courageous athletes continued to break color lines and gender barriers in professional sports. In 1946, Kenny Washington joined the LA Rams, breaking the NFL color line. In 1950, Chuck Cooper became the first African American drafted into the National Basketball Association, or NBA. Despite these breakthroughs, racial discrimination continued on and off the field. Racial taunts from fans were common, as were discriminatory practices from team owners, coaches, and leagues such as unequal pay, less playing time, unfair treatment by referees, and exclusion from certain positions. As for gender equality, many female athletes throughout the 20th century continued breaking barriers to the acceptance of women in sports. But it was a difficult journey. It was not until the passage of Title IX in 1972, which mandated gender equality in federally funded educational programs, that opportunities for women in sports significantly increased at college levels, enabling them to push for acceptance of national women's sports leagues. Most women's professional leagues weren't established until the late 20th century. For example, the Women's National Basketball Association, or WNBA, was not formed until 1996. Despite these advancements, female athletes still face challenges. They often receive less media attention and lower wages than their male counterparts, a debate that continues to this day. Pause the video here to answer our fourth guiding question. To what extent did American sports become more equitable throughout the 20th century? Well, folks, as we hear the final whistle of the Olympic Games, let's congratulate the athletes we've seen today. Their impact was not confined to sports, it rippled throughout society, challenging norms and shifting perceptions towards greater inclusivity and fairness. They remind us that sports can be a potential catalyst for societal change and progress. So next time you're in a crowd watching a game or even step onto a field yourself, think about the greater impact that sports can have. With every jump shot, home run, or goal, you just might make history.